Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we are going to be talking about Alexandra Rodriguez, or Learning to be Fearless is kind of what she started off as on YouTube. My hair is still wet because I just took a shower, but I've had a ton of people messaging me about this, so I was like, you know what, let's do this. Let's talk about this. So Alexandra Rodriguez has been on YouTube for a very long time. Now, if we go to her channel, this is her channel right here. And if you go to oldest, she's been uploading for a very long time, right? 13 years. So she's been doing this for a very, very, very long time, right? And so, she's been around the block. And the reason I bring that up is because I think that someone that has been on YouTube for as long as she has been, the mistake that she recently has made is something that I can maybe see someone that hasn't been on YouTube for very long maybe making that mistake, not someone that has been on YouTube as long as she has. So for those of you that don't really know what has been going on, I will say that I am also kind of in the boat with you because if I'm being completely honest, we have talked about Alex a good amount of times on the channel, not very much recently, just because honestly it wasn't really interesting to me. There wasn't for me much to say. Now that doesn't mean that there hasn't been other people talking about her, because there certainly has. There's been, whole channels that kind of dedicate most of what they do to quote unquote react right to her videos, which is something that's very common. And that's no shade here. You could technically say that I react, to content as well. So you could call me a reaction channel as well, right? It is what it is. It is content that is on the internet. It's very popular. It's something that a lot of people do. And I think with Alexandra, and as well as like an Amberlynn Reed or a Foodie Beauty, right? These are people that I would consider as lolcows to an extent. I think that there's different levels to that term. If you're not familiar with that term, because I've used it before and I've seen some comments. So lolcow, like the way that I explain it, is someone that exists on the internet and they make very silly decisions, and other people on the internet see those decisions and they talk about those decisions, whether that's reaction channels talking about those decisions, whether that's like a forum talking about it, like a Reddit post or a Reddit thread, right, talking about those decisions. But like a lot of times there's a community that is formed talking about this person, right? And usually, especially if it's a lolcow, it's not in the most positive way, right? It's kind of in a more negative or a more accusatory, or just like, hey, we're being critical of the things that this person is doing. And that certainly is something that has happened a lot with Alexandra, especially over the years, because she is someone that has, said I wanted to lose weight and then would make decisions based on that. Again, very similar, again, not the same, but similar to Amberlynn Reed. I'm going to do this, and then doesn't end up doing it. And then there's excuses. And then obviously there was the whole, kind of Fupa-gate thing where she ended up getting a surgery to get rid of part of her stomach, which again, if that's something that you want to do, that's fine. But she was very, very, very pro body positivity at the time, loving your body no matter what size. And then she ended up getting the surgery and absolutely definitely hiding it and intentionally trying to hide the fact that she did get this surgery, and people started calling that out. And I really feel like that situation kind of thrust her into more of the lolcow kind of person, the lolcow limelight, if you may, to where more and more people started talking about it. That's kind of, I think, when I first really started getting invested in the whole thing. But like I said, in the past couple years, past few months especially, I've just kind of been like, whatever, it is what it is. I'm not really going to talk about her much, but there certainly were other people that had been talking about Alexandra a lot. So with all of that being said, the big controversy that has been going on recently, at least from what I've seen in the research that I've done, is that Alexandra ended up filing some, what a lot of people are saying are false copyright strikes on smaller, and I think that's important, smaller reaction channels to get those videos taken down. And the reason that I think that this is so it's upsetting to so many people is because it does feel like she is targeting smaller creators that are, not very large, that might not be able to bring much attention to this situation. And so it's like kind of like doing it in the shadows. Like I'm gonna copyright strike these people, and I'm going to get them in trouble and get their channels removed, and no one will really know because those channels aren't very large. Now, the thing that I'm not sure if she is not aware of this, but it's not surprising at all that, of course, these channels have talked about this extensively since this happened. But of course, now other people, myself included, right, are picking this up because I don't know if this is happening to other people. It certainly is happening to me. I'm getting tons of messages of people saying you need to check out the Alexandra Rodriguez situation and see what is going on. One of the channels that did get a copyright strike on them is this channel right here, Mrs. Snowflake. I've never watched this guy's videos. I don't really know much about him, but he made a video talking about this, and this video is, I think, maybe his most popular, one of his most popular videos, calling this out. And again, it just goes to show that when you try to copyright strike people, copyright claim, and then a lot of times people feel that it's unwarranted, it just ends up becoming a bigger deal than you probably wanted it to be, right? So I do want to watch a very small portion of this video because he is just kind of reacting to her video, which is, I am assuming, kind of the content that he was making. And so if this is indicative of the content that he was making when the strike came out, I do believe that what he is doing is transformative, right? If you're not someone that likes reaction content, then I can understand you being like, I don't like someone making this kind of content, but that is very different, in my opinion, than someone just like sitting there and re-uploading, right? So the reason that, from what I understand, the reason that these protections exist is so people can't just go to a channel, rip their videos off their channel, re-upload those videos to another channel that they have monetized themselves, do nothing to make it transformative. That's a term you'll hear a lot in cases like this. They will do nothing to make it transformative. They'll do nothing to add to the videos, right? They won't be like me sitting in front of a camera talking about the situation, sharing their opinions, you know how I do with all the videos that I make, right? They don't do that, right? They will literally just take the video and put it on their channel and monetize that video. I absolutely believe that is wrong, despicable, and if you want to copyright strike someone that's doing that, I think that you are justified in doing that. Where it becomes a gray area is when this is a reaction channel that, yes, they might play your video in entirety, but they are also adding something to that video, whether it's their own commentary. I would say that's the most popular thing that you'll see, but you'll also see other people that will do compilations of a video that's maybe 40 minutes long, and they'll cut it down to 10 minutes of like the parts that are interesting. You see that a lot with Amber Lynn, right? And I feel like that's transformative as well. Maybe something different. Is it something that I would do? No, but I feel like those people have a right to make that content, right? Because if you wanted to make that and you wanted to make shorts out of your content, then that's something that you should be doing, right? These people are basically doing it for you, right? And so that's just a little bit of a rundown if you don't really understand the systems and like kind of what people talk about. But this is him expressing his experience with Alexandra.
What's up? I got copyright struck by Alexandra.
So it says right here, right? Video title: Alexandra Rodriguez drank 400 milligrams of caffeine and triggered me. And it said content used, and that's her video. And then it says remove a request issued by LTBF Media. So I am assuming that is learning to be fearless, right? So, and then it says contact info is learning to be fearless at AOL. That's a throwback. So that says to me, because whenever you get a copyright strike, this information will be here. Okay. So like who gave you the copyright strike, the person that did it, and what, and like how to contact that person. So it's interesting though, because it's only about a little over 2 minutes of this video that this person uploaded, right? And so it seems that it's almost at least a 30-minute video, I'd say, that they are getting a copyright strike. And then there's another one here, which it looks like the same thing, right? Learning to be fearless. This is from 12 minutes to 15 minutes again. So it seems like it's basically the same exact thing. So it seems that these are, copyright strikes that have been, from what I can understand, filed by Alexandra or someone on her team. Maybe has access to that. I highly doubt that. And she was upset, and so she decided to file these copyright claims, right?
Rodriguez. Yes, that means that little old me with 160 subscribers pissed off almost 600,000 subscriber Alexandra Rodriguez.
Which is pretty crazy, right? So he says himself, he had 160 just 160, no shade, but 160 subscribers at the time, right? Kind of, again, how many views did this video have, right? I doubt, and again, this is no shade, but I doubt it was more than 4,000 views, right? Because I think this might be his most popular video, right? And so it just seems like really short-sighted kind of behavior here.
And, it is very interesting. I do think that I give a fair shot at transforming the content, not only with my face is here, but I usually speed up the video because the way that she talks is just so fucking insufferable. And not only that, but I obviously give commentary, and usually if I feel like I haven't spoken in a good minute, I'll provide a Fortnite clip, especially now these days. Like, I'm trying to make it for sure. If she's talking or if somebody's talking.
When I first watched this, I was like, I thought he was joking. I think he might be serious, but I guess he adds Fortnite clips to the content. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like the TikTok stuff that you'll see.
For a straight minute, and I don't interject within that minute. I think, to me it's fair. I'll put a Fortnite clip in there so that it's always going to be some sort of, transformative.
So that's, I mean, for lack of a better term, that's kind of really all that we need to watch this video for. That's kind of him sharing his experience, and most of the rest of the video is him just reacting right to her content like he would normally do in a normal video of his. So the reason that I brought up how long she has been on YouTube is because this has been something that we have seen time and time again. There was even a huge lawsuit. I don't remember what year it was. It was quite a long time ago, like 8 years, maybe 9 years ago, maybe even longer, where Ethan Klein from H3 had a whole lawsuit that he ended up winning, right? And it was all about fair use. I think it was like FUPA was the acronym that they used or something like that, right? Where it was all about this, right? Being able to use someone's content and transform it in a way that you are adding commentary, you're reacting to it, you're adding your own spin to things, right? And that was declared fair use, and that is something that you can do on YouTube, right? And so since then, pretty much any time someone comes out and does these kind of copyright strikes, there's always kind of an uproar, and I think that that's exactly what's happening here. I think that this was a very short-sighted decision based on probably anger by her, and like, I truly can't even imagine what it's like being someone in Alexandra's shoes. I'm sure it can be very frustrating when you feel like every video you upload, there's just so many people that have things to say about it, but sadly, that just is the internet at this point, and I think that, maybe there are other channels that literally were existing and all they were doing was taking her videos, re-uploading them, adding nothing. And then again, I would agree with that. But from what I saw in this instance, right, with this guy, Mrs. Snowflake, this seems like fair use. Is he super nice to her? I don't know. I mean, maybe not, but is that grounds for taking someone's entire video down and giving them a strike? And the way that YouTube works is once you have a certain amount of strikes, I think it's 3, basically you're out, right? Your whole channel is deleted. It's taken away. And from what I have seen, I think other people have said that there were channels that got multiple strikes at the same time, which this is how it can work. You can get multiple strikes at the same time and you're hit with all of them. Bam, your channel's gone, deleted. It doesn't exist anymore, right? And so that's why it really does feel like she was trying to silence the smaller creators, because obviously you guys have seen I've made multiple videos on Alexandra and I don't have any copyright strikes from her. There are a lot of other creators that have bigger platforms that, from what I've seen, those channels are not getting copyright strikes either. It just seems like it is these smaller creators that are getting copyright striked. And again, it plays into that narrative of kind of using your larger platform to bully smaller creators, which, I don't agree with, And so I thought this was interesting. I saw so many people bringing it up to me, and so I just wanted to, add my voice to it, because I don't think that that's right. And I do think that if she is, abusing the copyright strike system, that should be called out. And regardless of how frustrating it might be for her, and I can understand that to an extent, I still think that that's wrong, and that's not something that she should do. But I would love to know what y'all think down in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.